Welcome back to A-List Talks. I'm Adam Armbruster, your host. I have with me an amazing woman, April Glasco Jones. She's a name and a force to be reckoned with. I've known April for years. Was thrilled to have you. Welcome, April.
Thank you so much.
April heads up something called Second Chance, Last Opportunity. She helps homeless, women in trouble, in dire straits. We're going to hear a lot about that. Families, people from all walks of life. They find April. And I want to find out how April finds them.
Wow.
But I want to also get to know April in a new and a deeper way.
Yeah.
So April, welcome. And I want to ask you first question. If you would just put one word on yourself to describe who you are as a person, and they said put it in one word, what would the word be?
Honesty. That word really sticks to me. It's best for me to be honest with the people that I'm working with. And first I have to be honest with myself, to prepare myself to work with those that need that help or second chance.
How do they find their way to you, April? I mean, they're in crisis. A lot of these women, especially, there's nowhere to go. How do they find you?
Well, Second Chance been around for a while, and as me being a former deputy sheriff in Manatee County, there's a lot of people that knows me from, that area of not having that opportunity to find their way to a positive atmosphere, and they just know that Second Chance is there to help them. And how they find me is through social media, from the community. We do a lot of outreach, word of mouth. So
There's a lot of government organizations that are, that do this, do that, do these things, but you seem to fill a gap. Like, they fall through the cracks somehow of some of these organizations. Yeah. I'm sure they're all great organizations, but you stand alone in, like, I'm just going to help you, no questions asked.
Right.
How does that work exactly?
I once was a second chance individual. That's how it started, that I wanted to give other people the opportunity to see themselves in a better place where at one time I wasn't there, and letting them know that you can do it in spite of how you go through the challenges of life and what you have to deal with, and you feel like you're stuck. So I look at them as if it was me, and how can I help them when I had to help myself, when I didn't have the help. So I'm there for those individuals that need help as well as families.
Do you mind sharing that story about, you said you used to be her?
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing that?
As the age of, maybe 18 years old, just trying to find who April was and what April wanted to do, because I moved from New Jersey, and all my family is from New Jersey, so I didn't know no one here in Sarasota. So I had to find new friends, find a new way of learning where I was at a new location. And at the age of 18, it just felt like I lost my way, because I didn't have my family, I didn't have the friends that I knew and I grew up with. And then I decided I was looking for love in all the wrong places, got involved with this relationship at the age of 19. And felt like I needed someone to love me for what I needed, that love at that moment, but it wasn't true love. It was something that came by and gave me what I thought I needed, and I fell short in a relationship that ended up being in a marriage. So that marriage ended up being in a domestic violence situation where I struggled and follow what he wanted me to do, and he seen me for what he can benefit from me. And because I was low-key, I started off as a gospel artist in New Jersey, and I was in church all my life. So knowing the streets, I didn't know nothing about the streets. I never drank, I never smoked, never went too many places. I think I went to the bowling alley when I was young, but didn't have the opportunity to experience a lot of things on the life on the other side. I knew how to pray. I knew who God was. I knew where to run to, which is church, and I knew the people that supported me was people in the church, Christians. But I never knew how can I survive when you're dealing with situations outside of church. And I followed him and end up being in a place that I didn't want to be, and end up depressed, gained a lot of weight. I was over 200 pounds and didn't know what love was. And I thought the love that he's supposed to teach me is the love that he wanted for himself. And then that's how I end up in a situation that I wanted to turn that around. But the amazing part was I became a deputy sheriff in Manatee County, and it helped me to learn how to fight, how to use the skills. And I had 2 girls at that time, 2 daughters, and they was young, and I didn't want my daughters to know that love was being abused. So I used the skills, and I remember waking up one morning, looking in the mirror, and I said, I'm going to turn this around. And I just turned it around. Then I ended up looking in a newspaper, and it says self-defense. So I said, well, that was God teaching me, helping me, directing me, and restarting me to a new beginning of how to help myself in a time like this. So I became a deputy sheriff, went through the training, graduated last, but I graduated, but I learned all the skills I need to. So the next time that he put his hands on me, I was able to fight back. The whole time I wasn't able to fight. I took the abuse, and I would close the door and let him abuse me while my daughters was out there watching TV. So I took it until I got tired of it. So once I was able to gain support through the sheriff department, I told him, hey, I'm being abused. If I call you, come right away. So that's what happened. He started hitting me for no reason. He accused me, and he was in the house. All the lights was off, but he was behind a door that I didn't know that he was in the house. And as soon as I turned on the lights and went in the room, then he started hitting me. So he beat me so bad that, again, I shut the door and let him do what he had to do. And then that was, 911. And I took my fist, hit him as hard as I can in places that you didn't want to, hit. And he started running. I described, his clothing and everything, and they got him. But you get tired of that. You get tired of the abuse. You get tired of the verbal abuse. You get tired of hearing it repeatedly. You're fat, you're ugly, nobody wants you. You have 4 kids, and I remember him being in a closet and just coming out, want to fight me, and threw me in the closet. And my daughters was watching me. So many times I took the hits to protect my daughters, but taught them that love was not being hit on. So I ended up being homeless for 5 years after that relationship. But my mom came and got me. And she said, I'm going to take care of you. And she ended up taking me to Sarasota, and she took care of me, but didn't know that she was battling with cancer. She took care of me until she passed away. And it helped me to know that the love that you're looking for is a love is so genuine that you shouldn't have to take abuse. You shouldn't have to be belittled by anyone. And you use love for what it is, and God is love. So if no one can give you the love that God gave you, that's not real love. So I went on and taught my daughters, and from teaching my daughters, then I was able to let other people that came through Second Chance, especially ladies, that you can do all things without even allowing someone to treat you the way they want to treat you. You deserve the best. You deserve anything that comes your way. So that's how, I just had to stand up for myself and learn the I am that I am. This is how I see myself. I see myself as the woman that I thought I couldn't be. I am that I am. I'm strong, I'm brilliant and powerful. I would no longer see myself the way people would want me to be. I am that I am. But it took that, and how it came about was it flowed out my mouth to realize, April, you have arrived to the point that you don't have to take that from anyone, because you're better than that. You deserve whatever comes your way because you're a hard-working individual and you're strong in spite of anyone want to say you're not, but you are, and you can do it.
April, what you went through could have broken women, could have broken most women. That's incredible amount of
Yeah.
drama and abuse and depression. I'm like, my gosh, did you ever get a day away from that? I mean, what kept you striving forward when I think a lot of people would have just given up?
I exercise a lot. I started exercising because when you're going through, you're in a depressed stage that you start gaining weight. I gained a lot of weight. But I also had to find a place within me to say that you're not going to be stuck here because you have 4 daughters that's watching you. So I exercised and it came about and had a convenience store. And I did whatever I needed to do to make it a meaningful life for me, and not thinking that being in an abusive relationship or verbal relationship is that this is all you're going to go through, because it's not. So my thing is help others to see that they are much better than what they feel like they're not. And I could tell them my story. I have a story. You have a story, you know.
So when someone comes through your doorway, they're probably even nervous being there because
Yeah.
when you're in these situations,
Yeah.
right? He's back home in that case.
Yeah,
She's nervous even being seen going in there because
Yeah.
that could set him off.
yeah.
How do you manage that tension point when someone's walking in going, I got to get help here, and yet you know it's still going on behind the
Yeah.
curtain, right?
Yeah.
What happens in those conversations when she comes to the door?
Well, I can remember having 15 ladies in my office at one time. I signed up for the class and everything. And the majority of them was molested at a young age. And they were stuck at the age of 8, 12, 10. And so they felt like going through that would be the rest of their lives, that have to be abused by other people that comes along with them. And it's not. So I literally had to sit these young ladies, each one at a time, on my lap, and give them a big teddy bear. And I had them to hug the teddy bear, and then I just spoke positive affirmation to them. I said, "You're okay. You're all right. Just forgive the person that did this to you. You're much bigger than that." And I had them to close their eyes and take a breather. It's going to be okay. And that was about 10 years ago for each of those ladies, and they're doing good today. But they had to ask for forgiveness for themselves, and then write a letter to the person that abused them. So because they was taking abuse, being verbally abused and physical abuse from their boyfriends, their husbands. I said, you don't have to do that. You don't have to go through that. But it also was teaching me and helping me to see, hey, but you don't have to go through that. You know, and I share a lot to a lot of the ladies today. It's like, when I was going through, the streets taught me how to live and not die. Not die. Because I didn't know that life. All I knew was pray, cry out to the Lord, turn the other cheek, see it different. But it wasn't that. It was just, I needed something stronger than that. And the streets, those ladies in the streets that they was going through, helped me to see, April, you're much better than that. If they can go through it, you can go through it. But you have much more that can be offered to you than them, because you know God. They didn't. So now I'm able to pray with them and show them you have something better out there than just thinking that you can find a man. And it's not about the man, it's about you and what you have for yourself and what you can do to make you a better person.
It sounds like you're helping them out of an emotional rut.
It is emotional.
I'm still 8 years old, even though I'm
Yeah.
35. I'm 8. Is that kind of?
They're stuck at that age. When you're abused at the age of 8, maybe 12, at a young age, you're stuck, even though you're adult, because you can't shake that abuse. It traumatizes you of what someone did to you and took advantage of you.
What's the number one thing these women? It's many women, but it's families too.
It's families and teenage, and we have some men.
Right, right. I've heard this from you. What's the number one thing they say to you after they go through a class or they start to, let's call it, get out of that rut where they're stuck? What do they say to you afterwards, after they've been through this and you talk a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later? What do they say to you?
I love you, Miss April. Thank you, Miss April. Can I volunteer? You know, what are you doing? You know, I want to be involved. They don't want to stop what they have been introduced to, and they don't want to go away thinking that nothing can change their life, but, you know, they connect themselves. And you're always looking for someone to connect to that does positive things. And they found something positive, and they know that they get a second chance.
You're quite a voice for this in our community. You've been on here on ABC7 on Suncoast View. You're in podcasts all the time. You have big social media presence. Like you're pretty, at this point, you're pretty easy to find. But it wasn't always the case. I mean, years ago, you had a small, little, tiny, dark, dank office on a corner, and now it's this incredible facility. But that's been a long journey. But
Yeah.
how did you even get that started? How did you get a place to set up shop, as it were, right? Like to talk to people?
From the beginning? Well, the building was owned by my dad, and he sold it. And I used to be across the street, and I started off as a convenience store. Then I know how to sew, so I made men's clothing, the shirt, pants, the shorts. I love art, so I draw a lot. So I did anything to be able to take care of my 4 daughters. Then I opened up. I had a situation where I took sick from all the hits in my head from my abused husband hitting me in my head, just punching me and everything. I took sick one day, and I couldn't walk. Then I ended up passing out. But I was able to shake it. But that was in Braden. I ended up driving to my parents' house where my mom was living the next day. But I passed out in front of the house. They called the paramedics. And the paramedics came and rushed me straight to surgery. I was hemorrhaging. I was bleeding inside from all the hits, abuse. And they said if I didn't make it, I wouldn't have been here. So I don't take it for granted for where I am today. I have a calling and a purpose, of what I do. And I just enjoy. And that's how second chance. I got a second chance. I'm alive. I'm living. I'm able to communicate. I'm able to talk. Back then I didn't have a voice. That voice was taken away from me. And then experiencing homelessness. I was homeless in the car for 5 years with my daughters. And didn't know, how I was going to make it, how we was going to eat, how it was just a lot, an unknown place. And I was able to get out of that. And then my father, he dreamt that I started an organization called Last Opportunity. So he's helping people in the community. So Second Chance, Last Opportunity came together for me getting a second chance at life. I don't take it for granted. And the last opportunity came from my dad having a dream. And I cherish the calling, I honor my calling, and I have the purpose of enjoying my passion of helping people.
It's got to be, I always think like even just a psychologist, right? 9 to 5 all day, all you hear are problems. There's no jokes in there.
No jokes, no.
How do you keep the energy up, April? They're not bringing you solutions. They're bringing you problems all day long. How do you keep your own self full and spirit full during the day when they come in? April, I have a problem. April, I have a problem. How do you do that?
I look at each person as an angel with a person that you don't know, but one day they will get up to help get where they are, and they'll come back and help you. I look at each person as an angel. So when they come with a problem, I put myself as if I'm that person with the problem and just listen to what they're saying. Sometimes I utilize my gift that I do have, and then other times I just look at them and just wait until they can solve their own problem. Because you can't solve everybody's problem. when a person hear themselves talk, they can answer their own question. You don't have to say much because they're the only one in the problem, in the situation. 24/7, that's you and your problem. That's your situation. So that means, how do you get out the situation that you're in? What do you want to do? Because I'm not with you 24/7. So they tell me what they want to do instead of me telling them what they should do. Because they're the ones that have to make sure that they live accordingly to how they want to live. It's their story. And how this story is going to end. It's up to them. If you want to continue staying in it, stay in it. I will have girls that come with black eyes, and I said, well, you have to make a decision. Then they come the following week, another black eye. I said, well, why would you continue getting the black eye? What do you want me to say to you? I know it's a situation you have to decide how you're going to get out of it, but once you leave that relationship, you make sure you go, and don't, and make sure you have a plan. You just don't walk out and then walk back in because you're giving ammunition to the abuser to continue abusing you. So make sure when you make that decision to walk out, you have a plan. Don't leave until you have a plan. You have support, but you have to have a plan because this is your relationship. Either you love it or you live it. It's your choice.
April, there's been, in our society, you always hear a lot about female empowerment and relationship management and things like that. But I have an honest question for you. Since you've been doing this, have you seen progress in our society? Is it the same? Is it worse?
Depends on what area, because I traveled around the world. So a lot of ladies not going to complain about the situation that they're in because of the cost of living. And if you're not getting food stamps, you have no food. And then you have transportation and you don't have enough money to pay bills. So they have to make a decision. So if it's worse, you wouldn't know. If something needs to be done, yes. More empowerment classes need to be offered so they know how to empower themselves and learn how to live a life that keep them safe.
You've spoken around the world. I remember you going to Italy and speaking to a pretty large group of women there.
Group of ladies.
What was different in their society versus our society? Did you notice any differences?
The men that they were involved with killed them. They was killed, and it wasn't even their husband. It was the boyfriends. So they would go to jail and stay there for 6 months to a year. It was bad there. In Italy, it was real bad. So they had like a ceremony of red benches for the ladies, and they had it around the town. And they would go, I had the opportunity to stay there for 20 days, yeah. And I would go to these events, and they have these benches, and they would put the names of each person that died from being abused. It was bad. And that was a while ago. But yeah, I don't know the changes about how that went about, but they needed some changes. It's like, why would you want to abuse another person when you're angry at what you do?
I have a question for you as a man. I can't speak from a woman's vantage point naturally, but as a man, I perceive men that do that as very small men. They're small.
Men.
They don't like themselves.
They hate themselves.
Is that true?
They have a lot going on, and they don't know the direction they have, and they want to feel that they're in, and they have that power and control because they lost it when they found out they didn't have no control. So now they work with weak women or women that has little to work with. So they control them, and it's so unfair. So my part is to help empower women to say you're strong, you're brilliant, and powerful. And most of all, stand on your tippy toes and rise above the situation and be better and limit your conversation and be silent about where you're moving it, how you move.
You once shared a story, maybe you can share it today, about a woman who's being abused, and you taught her that tippy toe rise up, and she used it in the middle of an altercation with her
Yeah.
husband. Can you tell us what happened that day with her?
The young lady, she was being verbally abused by her boyfriend the day before he was physical. And I told her, I said, rise up above the situation and don't fall into it. But what you need to do is call 911. So I had to keep coaching her, because she was scared. You know, what happened if the police come and all this other stuff? But are you safe at what's going on in your home? So that incident happened. He started verbally abusing her and physical abusing her. She rised. She didn't touch. She didn't touch him at all. And then she got the phone and she dialed 911 and they arrested him. And you have to, and I told her, you have to be sure of what you want to do, because once you do that and call the officers to your home, then they're going to ask a lot of questions. And they don't fight back. You want to fight back, but don't. Just protect yourself while he's abusing you. But yeah, I had to do that. Yeah.
You have these beautiful daughters. I've met several of them. I mean, they're angelic. They're beautiful souls. But
Thank you.
how do they see men now after being through what you went through as their mom and being in a car for years? But how do they view relationships themselves now? That's quite a start for them too, right?
It is, and it's their own decision on how they want to be in relationships, and they know the story of how I came out of it, how I went through it, and how I restarted. And so it's their choice, but I tell them what you have to do is first love yourself. So the relationship that you're in, if they don't love you, make a decision. Don't stay in something that's not going to benefit you. A person comes to love you, not to hurt you and abuse you. They come to help you and elevate you to your next. And then I can coach them along the way like I do other ladies. But as far as my daughters, I tell them, I get real deep and strong with them. I can help you as long as you want me to help you. But when it's time for me to move back, I would definitely move back. Because I don't want to be the person that says that I broke up somebody's relationship. So, you know, you're old enough. My oldest is 41. So she have a decision she have to make.
If anyone's watching this and feels like they're in this situation, April, you're pretty easy to find on social media.
Yeah.
You have a phone number. I'll bet that rings to your purse. I'll bet it does, doesn't it?
Yeah. It
There
does.
you go. There's April. There's no secretary. There's no voicemail.
No.
So there's a hotline.
It's a hotline.
And it sounds like someone has to get to a point of saying, that's it.
That's it. I had enough. I'm better than I deserve the best.
There's, like I said earlier, there's organizations, there's government, there's county things in every city, probably
That's
in
right,
every
that's
country.
Right. That's right.
This is going all around the world,
That's
anybody.
right.
But I think having just that confidence to say, I'm going to change starting today and just reach out and get some information. The website is secondchancelastopportunity.org.
That's correct.
It's loaded with information. You have all this free material on here, videos, I think.
I have video, yeah.
There's videos on YouTube of you talking. So if anyone's watching this and says, I'm not at the point where I can call April yet, but I want to just learn a little bit more, it's a wonderful resource.
Yeah, definitely. We just started a program, A Crown for Queens. And I do motivational speaking engagements to travel 3 or 4 times a month to different locations in Florida. And just them being around me and just hearing the positive affirmation and encouraging them to stay strong, know that you're brilliant and you're powerful. It's a session of 4 sessions. And you have a graduation ceremony and they get a crown, a T-shirt, incentives for them to know that they deserve it. So that started 2 weeks ago. So we're expecting over 1,000 ladies. We recently signed up maybe 500 ladies. And then we have the dates where they can follow me to these locations and get their sessions in of a class. And then they participate in the graduation. And it's so needed. Women need women. We need to network together, help each other, encourage each other, and encourage one another, and then give them that strength to know that you can do it. You're not by yourself. And that's what I didn't have. I felt like I was alone by myself, but realized that my mom was my strength.
You know, with women, I'm having a daughter in her 30s, and I hear and read a lot about women comparing themselves to these, what I call false prophets, these perfect women online that actually don't exist, but you start to feel less than.
Yeah.
I think that's a factor here, true, right? People don't feel like they're worthy because
they don't know their worth. They don't know how powerful they are. They don't know their strength. They don't know that they are loved by the person that they're looking in the mirror at. And that's powerful. When you look in the mirror and realize that, hey, I'm so beautiful. I deserve the best. Then you know you're strong enough to make it. But when you don't take the time to look in the mirror every day and realize that, hey, I used to say, it's just me. But a friend say, no, it's more than just me. You're much more than that. So you have to know your worth to know that you can do it.
You know, earlier when you shared with me that people come up to you with problems, and I said, how do you put up with this all day? It's got to be exhausting. And you said you look at them all as angels.
Yeah, I do.
Can I tell you something, April?
What's that?
I think you're an angel, too.
An angel, too? Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being with us, sharing your honesty. It's just Dr. April Glasco Jones. She's a name in this cause, I guess is the best way to put it. It's so unique, so special, so different. Secondchancelastopportunity.org is where you want to go to get your life changed. And if today's the day, April's waiting for your call.
Definitely.
God bless you, April. Thank you for
so
being
much.
here today.
Awesome.
That's it for Dr. April Glasco Jones on A-List Podcast. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you.